Hello, my name is Levyn, and today I'm going to be talking about do we need government subsidies for non essential goods? So, what are government subsidies? Basically, government subsidies are when the government gives money to companies in the form of either cash grants or tax deductibles. And basically, it's just like that's a direct transfer. And there's also indirect ways that the government gives money, which is usually through tax breaks and other methods. So, what are these government subsidies supposed to do exactly? So, they actually kind of help with the factors of production in that they can help fund the manufacturing or capital goods of a company, and they can also help fund the entrepreneurship of the economy as well. And so, this will cause the long run aggregate supply to shift to the right and will usually generate uh, long run economic growth. So let's differ between our essential and non essential goods. Our essential goods are going to be things like baby formula, things that anything that keeps us healthy, um, like doctor's appointments, healthcare. So any healthcare companies will get subsidized. Um, and so we're not going to be talking about those. And also, apparently, we have national defense spending. Uh oh. Oh no. Ah! Okay, guys, I'm back. So I guess we're keeping that national defense spending in that essential category. For non-essentials, that's going to include things like jewelry, electronics, anything that's really not needed to survive, and also your stuffed animals are non-essential, unfortunately. And we're going to be talking about that because that's one of the more controversial ways that government subsidies can be applied. And the answer that we found for this question is no. We don't need government subsidies for non essential goods, and I'm going to tell you why. So, first of all, subsidies are already being used in wide amounts, and sometimes they simply just don't work. We have wasted a lot of money sometimes. And according to the Hoover Institution at Stanford University, quote, corporate welfare supposedly offers a positive long term economic return for taxpayers, but the evidence shows that government investments have a low or negative rate of return. In the late 1960s, the government spent nearly $1 billion on the supersonic transport, which experts in Washington expected would revolutionize air travel. Instead, the plane went bankrupt and never flew a single passenger. So this kind of shows how such endeavors can go really terribly wrong, and I don't it is not seen why we would need to spend more on non-essential goods, as it can show this shows that we have already lost a lot of money on returns from the government investments. So there's not always necessarily going to be benefits to this. Additional evidence from the same article from Hoover Institution is that, quote, most firms today face too high a tax burden, not one that is too low. In 1995, the tax rate on corporate America came to 35% of net income. So this shows that our tax rates are already really high, matching with our high rates of spending on government subsidies. And this will definitely affect how much companies can even make um, off their profits, and shows that we're already spending a large amount of money from those spending on subsidies, and that's not going to generate enough income, since a lot of projects either fail, and it just generates a higher tax rate, which is just burdening the companies. My second point is that the free market is already working. So according to the crash course economics, we know that subsidies will equal to less innovation and competition. And the reason for this is because when you have more government subsidies, that means companies have pretty much generated a sort of fake profit, which means that they no longer need to compete for higher quality goods since they are already generating their own profit without even lifting a finger. And so this will be very detrimental to our economy, which is um, means that our quality will just go down, and meanwhile, maybe prices won't change, um, or maybe prices will even benefit, but our quality of goods will definitely decrease by a good amount. And on top of that, the innovation will definitely decrease. Additionally, to this point, companies usually end up making enough profit anyways. So uh, with this quote that I blatantly took from Crash Course. In 2005 alone, when pre-tax farm profits were at a near record 72 billion, the federal government handed out more than 25 billion in aid. So this shows that companies like ones that own farms already make a large amount of profits, and so these subsidies for these for non-essential goods, not farms, but other non-essential goods usually won't be necessary because using the free market theory, we already know that such companies should have enough demand to make a profit, and so they don't really need the government spending on them. Finally, I want to talk about why we need to focus on other important subsidies instead. So, according to the Freakonomics podcast, who interviewed Gina Raimondo, the Secretary of Commerce for the U.S., um, they basically talked about how they're already investing, the government's already spending a lot of money in other subsidies, such as those involved in the CHIPS Act, which basically is um, the effort by the U.S. government to bring back, to not bring back, but to bring chip manufacturers of silicon chips that you see in like computers and such like Intel, and bring that manufacturing into the U.S. And the reason why this stuff is more important is because this is basically a more of a national security issue. And so, if we're spending too much money on other goods, like the non-essential goods we're talking about, just to get lower prices or just to increase so-called some economic growth, this will lead to deficiencies within our own plans of other more important issues, such as bringing up national security and national, making sure we have local production of goods like chips. And additionally, are also going to increase the price level by a huge amount with all the spending if we just keep adding on to the subsidies. As you can see here with this very uh, this aggregate demand and aggregate supply graph that you've probably seen before. As we increase government spending, obviously our aggregate demand is going to increase and shift to the right, which is going to increase our price level. And as I said, of course, the economy might benefit somewhat, but adding on that we're going to maybe lose money, that we are not handling the money correctly, that the economy itself is working well enough, we can conclude that it's just not necessary to spend or have any government subsidies on non-essential goods that are already supported by our free market, that they already profit enough. So, in conclusion, trust the free market system. We don't need to use those government subsidies. Thank you for listening.